The Montecito dream is looking increasingly like a fragmented reality as 2026 begins, with the professional uncoupling of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex now moving from a quiet whisper to a public spectacle of separate lives and dwindling influence. Hello, friends. It is a pleasure to have you with us again for a deep look into the latest maneuvers from across the Atlantic. As we find ourselves mid-February, the image being projected from California is one of frantic activity. Yet a well-placed source suggests that beneath the glossy surface of red carpets and courtside seats, the foundations are starting to crumble. We saw them just yesterday, didn't we? Prince Harry and Meghan Markle sitting courtside at the NBA All-Star Game in Inglewood. There they were, sandwiched between Hollywood elite like Queen Latifah, laughing for the cameras in what some are calling a desperate attempt to maintain relevance in a town that has a very short memory for yesterday's royals. But if you look closely at the footage, the chemistry seems performative, almost as if they are following a script that neither of them quite believes in anymore. A source within the inner circle has noted that while the us against the world brand is still being sold to the public, the reality in Montecito is one of professional uncoupling. Meghan has fully pivoted into her own world. She is now leaning heavily into her lifestyle brand, as ever, the renamed version of that rather clunky American Riviera orchard we heard so much about last year. A source behind closed doors tells me that she is obsessed with dominating the British jam market. It's almost comical, isn't it? From the steps of St. George's Chapel to competing with Wilkin and Sons. Someone close to palace circles remarked recently that the irony is not lost on the family. She spent years trying to escape the constraints of British tradition, only to spend her 2026 trying to sell British-style luxury back to the very people she left behind. The brand's expansion plans involve pop-up shops and London bookshops, specifically the Godmothers, a name that feels like a heavy-handed nod to her Hollywood support system. But the public response has been lukewarm at best, with social media critics labeling the move a pathetic attempt to salvage a struggling enterprise. And then there's the Netflix of it all. The $100 million golden goose has finally stopped laying. Reports are surfacing that their massive overall deal has been downgraded to a mere first-look agreement. In plain English, they've been demoted. Netflix isn't funding their lifestyle anymore. They're simply waiting to see if anything worth buying actually comes out of Archwell. A well-placed source indicates that Meghan's series, With Love, Meghan, is not being renewed for a second season despite the PR spin. It reportedly ranked near the bottom of Netflix's charts, a stinging blow for someone who sees herself as a global tastemaker. Instead, they are being offered holiday specials, the Hollywood equivalent of a consolation prize. There's even a rumor from a source behind closed doors that they are dangling a Princess Diana documentary as a final lifeline to keep the Netflix executives from walking away entirely. One can only imagine the horror that news would cause in London. The real drama, however, is the escalating panic over King Charles's health and the succession. We are hearing from someone close to palace circles that there is a genuine sense of urgency in Harry's camp. Following the king's recent health update, where it was revealed he is responding exceptionally well to treatment, the monarch has reportedly instructed aides to explore a peace summit. The king, ever the father, wants to see his grandchildren, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet. But let's not mistake parental affection for institutional weakness. A well-placed source suggests that while the king is open to a conversation, Prince William is quite another story. A well-meaning staff member has let it slip that the Prince of Wales has effectively walled off his brother. William is focused on the crown and the stability of his own family, and he views Harry as a leaky sieve that cannot be trusted with any proximity to the institution. There is a theory circulating among those who know the family well that Prince Harry is terrified of a future where his brother is king. He knows that once the crown passes to William, the door to the royal fold will be bolted and barred for good. Catherine, too, has reportedly tried to keep a bridge open, but even her legendary patience has its limits. A source within the inner circle reveals that she has urged Harry to come to the UK alone for his next visit, to prove he is his own man, and not merely an appendage to his wife's latest marketing campaign. It's a sharp bit of advice, and one that I suspect will be ignored given how tightly Meghan controls their shared narrative. And let's talk about the money, because it always comes back to the bank balance. With the Netflix deal in its twilight phase and the security battle still draining their coffers, the financial independence they craved looks more like financial anxiety. Meghan is reportedly planning a massive UK expansion for as ever this spring, including high-end jams and marmalades. One can only imagine the reception she expects. A source behind closed doors says she genuinely believes she can dominate the UK market. It takes a certain kind of confidence, or perhaps a total lack of self-awareness, to think the British public will be lining up to buy jam from a woman who has spent the last 5 years criticizing their institutions. Furthermore, they are reportedly facing a PR nightmare, as major U.S. agencies have branded them difficult and cheap, refusing to take on their account. They've had to rehire old representatives in a desperate bid to fix an image that is increasingly seen as toxic in Hollywood circles. Meanwhile, a well-placed source has hinted at a new biography that is about to drop more bombshells regarding the early days of their marriage. Apparently, Harry is still nursing a grievance that Meghan wasn't given the same level of security as Catherine when they were first dating. He still sees it as one rule for them and another for me. It's the same old tune played on a very tired violin. The public sentiment, especially here in the UK, has moved on. They are seen less as rebels and more as a cautionary tale of what happens when you trade duty for celebrity, and find that celebrity is a very demanding and very fickle master. The ongoing security trial in London only adds to the sense of a couple stuck in the past, fighting battles that the rest of the world has already forgotten. As we look toward the rest of 2026, the question isn't whether they will return to the UK, but in what capacity? Will they be invited to the Invictus Games? Possibly. Will they be welcome at the palace? Highly unlikely. A longtime family acquaintance remarked that the Sussexes are now in a test of endurance. They have to prove they are more than just their grievances. But as Meghan focuses on her Valentine's Day collections and Harry sits in the VIP section of basketball games, one has to wonder if they've already lost the plot of their own story. The Sussex comeback they've been promising for 2026 is looking less like a royal return and more like a desperate rebranding. They are two people who walked away from the most prestigious brand in the world, only to find themselves struggling to sell biscuits and jam to an increasingly indifferent audience. It is, quite frankly, a bit of a mess. Would you like me to look into the specific details of that rumored Princess Diana documentary and how the Prince of Wales is reportedly planning to block it?